The tale of Sweeney Todd has been told for generations. It's been adapted from the page to the stage and now on film. Tim Burton's vision of this classic tragedy is a unique and stylized expedition into the mind of a killer. Take the trip to Victorian London, where chimneys paint the skies black and the streets run red. See for yourself how an insignificant pie shop becomes the center of a city on fire. I'm James Hockenjos, and this is The Rewind.
Fasten your seatbelts. It's going to be a bumpy night.
Hey guys, this is Jimmy, and you're listening to The Rewind, presented by House of Habit Podcast Network.
Your scientists are so preoccupied with whether or not they could, they just stop to think of the shot.
Never tell me the odds.
The Rewind.
The rewind.
The Rewind.
It's showtime.
Yo, what's up? We're back, everyone. Welcome to another episode of The Rewind, presented by House of Havoc. Mr. Gage Zangi still away on his Barstool tour. Filling in once again, we have Vinny from TigerPack Productions. Also, our video editor here at the House of Havoc.
Oh, thank you for having me again. Let's talk about some...
It's always a pleasure. Yeah. It's always a pleasure. Today, we will be tackling another one of Vinny's choices, Sweeney Todd and the Demon Barber of Fleet Street. Not a fan. Not a fan.
I didn't know you were going to open with that. Holy shit. You gotta ease us into that. we talk about this shit on the regular. You can't just throw that at me right now.
I wasn't a fan. We'll let you two guys go, and then I'll give my score and my review and everything after the fact. So, Emily, why don't you go first, since there seems to be less of... We've already spoken about it.
Yeah.
So, you're not as mad at me.
I wasn't mad to begin with. I actually had a feeling when he said Sweeney Todd that you probably were not going to really be into it. I saw Sweeney Todd when it came out in 2007. It's just been a part of my entire career, honestly. It's been something that I've held at very high regard. I actually haven't watched it in years. And rewatching, I was like, my score dropped a little bit. I'm not gonna lie. It did. It doesn't. I still hold it in high regard. I still love it, but yeah, no. I mean, there are issues with it. There are things that I wasn't crazy about. There are things that, and based with the play, that it's a movie, so we're bound to lose stuff, and we're bound to cut stuff, and we're bound to shorten stuff. But a big issue I actually do have with this movie is that we don't have a single assembly song. They were all cut from this movie.
For
ensemble?
For a legitimate
Yeah, what'd I say?
Assembly? It sounded like you were trying to...
She combined ensemble and assembly.
Fragile. It's fragile.
Yo, honestly, I didn't sleep last night. I had
Words.
not a... I'm trying here. I'm doing my best. For a writer... Listen, I'm very well at the written word. The spoken word has been a struggle my entire life.
What's a biome?
Yo, oh, that was bad. Okay, so we're watching TV, and he's scrolling through Disney.
It was the
Plus.
Star Wars section of Disney Plus, and I'm looking through, and they added a couple of new animated shows recently, and she looks up and she goes, "What's a biomes?" And
it was worse than that. I go, biome? What the fuck is a biome? It was the Wawa. It was, what the fuck's a Wawa? That's what I did.
And as I'm sure you might have already pieced together, the word is biomes.
Yeah.
It's biomes. And I just looked at her, I was like, you mean biomes?
Yo,
you're
what lane of Disney Plus were you guys on? The
Star Wars.
Oh, the Star Wars.
yeah.
It's a Star Wars show.
Well, listen, as soon as you said biomes, I was like, yup. It's
Oh, you're like the Nat Geo section, like biomes, like the ocean and shit.
Dude, listen, words are tough for me. Unless I'm writing them. When I have to speak them, they're tough. I have a stutter. My brain works faster than my mouth. I struggle with names. I mean, I don't know what to tell you guys. I'm doing my best here. You honestly put the worst person in this position. Great at research, horrible at hawking. I'm horrible at hawking. So... no, I coming, like, let me get into the entertainment field. I came up through musical theater and stage, and that was like where my first love really does lie is in the stage and stuff like that. But this was one of those plays that I just loved. I love the darkness of it. I love the dark story. I love when the villains are our heroes in a story. As I mean, most people who know me or know my writing know I appreciate an awesome villain. Sweeney Todd is kind of one of those villains that is that classic villain. He's the classic scorned man who, you know, turns to the dark side. He's the Anakin Skywalker. You know, loses his wife, dies, loses his kids, and becomes evil. Great, love it. So for that purposes, I do love this film. And then the music has always been. I actually sang Greenfinch and Linnet Birds for Nisma one year. So,
That's not an easy song.
no, it's not. And the fact that I was like, she was singing it. Joanna was singing the song, and I was thinking to myself, how in God's name did I ever manage that? Because now if I tried to sing that, I mean, I'm just gonna sound like a dying cat. There's no chance in hell. I can hit some of the notes, but there's no chance in hell I'm gonna be able to sing that entire song. I mean, I'm gonna have an aneurysm. Like something's gonna burst because I'm such an alto now. I don't know. And I sang that like in high school. Like it was definitely when I was seen at alto. But I guess that's what smoking and life does to you, I guess.
Most of life.
yeah, just screaming. It's
it
been a lot
brings
of
you
screaming.
all down a whole octave.
I came from probably just screaming all the time at
Yeah.
everyone. But so I do. I to rate this movie, God, I'd probably put it at like a 7.6. Oh, there's gonna be so many clips for you to pull, Vinny, just on your face alone, man.
Are we doing ratings now, or are we gonna wait? Are we pushing that?
I'm
No,
just-
we're doing the ratings right now. That's how we started.
I would say do the ratings right now. Yeah.
10 out of 10.
Get the fuck out of
10.
here.
I
Get
think
the
This
fuck out of
motherfucker.
here.
this is one of my favorite films of all time.
Vinny.
I love this film. I think I watched the stage. I watched the show that's available on Apple. Len Carlo is not the lead. I forgot who it was, but Angela Lansbury plays Mrs. Lovett.
Mhm.
She did that for a while.
Yeah.
So I watched it, and I had watched the movie first, so I did have some preconceptions. But I really like the play. But I think the movie improved on a lot of the things that were lacking in the show, specifically the violence. I think the violence is so symbolic of his like rage and shit that every time you see like the gush, like it's overdone, but it's for a reason. It's like it's catharsis.
It's very Burton in the
Oh,
movie.
yeah.
It's so which I love. Burton's one of my favorite directors of all
Yeah.
time. But that yes, I do agree with you on that it is more bloody and that was done
and
on purpose.
it's perfectly casted. Like there is not a single cast member. Oh, do you disagree?
We'll get to it. We'll get to it.
I guess this is a good movie to talk about because what the fuck? I didn't realize that I was walking into like
I'm waiting my turn.
it's like not a fan, get a fan-ish.
You know what it is? I'm a fan of the story. I'm a fan of the music. I'm a fan of the movie. I like the movie. Would I say it's one of my favorite movies? No. Would I say it's a good movie? Yes. Would I recommend it to people that I thought would like appreciate that type of story? Absolutely. But would I sit here and say it's a masterpiece or not a classic? No, absolutely not.
I think it's Burton's best film, and I think it's Johnny Depp's greatest role.
What?
Yeah.
Oh,
And
Wrong and wronger.
Vinny.
I really
A new
Vinny.
sequel. It's called
and
Wrong
I
and
just watched Sleepy Hollow for the first time the other day, where
And you
everybody was
think-
like,
And you think that this is better for Burton?
I think this is better. I think Sweeney Todd is better than Sleepy Hollow because, I mean, Sleepy Hollow, there was an overall tone that was established, but in Sweeney Todd, I'm saying there is a tone that's
Edward
completely established.
Scissorhands.
It's too, I like, I'm not saying it's a bad film. I think up until a certain point, Tim Burton.
Beetlejuice.
Yes, but this is so grounded in a genre that, like, how often do you see a musical that conveys such dark tones and violence and character depth?
I'd say 35% of them.
This is
I mean, this is the
outshines.
perfect musical for
It
Burton.
is. This is the,
I would say that is the perfect
out of
musical
all of
for him
them,
to
like
tackle.
he nailed the story, he nailed the motivations, like Burton nailed every possible facet to this film, and I think Depp was the perfect choice. I don't see anybody other than Hugh Jackman playing the role.
Oh my God, Vinny. You're killing me. You're killing me, kid. You're
Playing
killing
that,
me, kid.
but
He
You're
doesn't
killing
know what your notes are.
No, not even. No, it has nothing to do with that. That you think that Hugh Jackman would be better in that role.
no, I didn't say he could be better. I said the only
But
person in my mind that I could see
I
playing
couldn't
that
even
role
do that.
is Hugh Jackman.
No way. I totally disagree with you on that. I don't think singing wise that he would do that justice. Not that he doesn't have the voice or that he couldn't do it, but no.
I'm not here.
May I interject?
Yes.
Before I get into my whole deal, I told you this. I had read the story, a short story version of this tale, probably in one of those like collection of short story book, like the lit books you get in middle school. Like this is way before this movie came out because I remember reading this and then we were doing. It had to be like 2 years at least between me reading it and then the movie coming out. So we're talking like 05-ish. I probably read it in school at some point, 5th, 6th grade English.
It's a pretty dark one to read that young.
I'm telling you, I was in middle school at like 6th grade at the oldest. Possibly, like, it was way before. Because by the time the movie came out, I was like, "Oh, isn't that about the psychotic barber? And what do they cook the food into something, right?" And then someone's like, "Meat pies." I'm like, "Yeah, meat pies." It was long enough for the details to be fuzzy, but I knew the gist of it. But hearing that movie came out, Johnny Depp made sense to me then. Like as a kid, having read the story, let's call it 18 months beforehand, Johnny Depp made all the sense in the world to me as an 11, 12, 13-year-old kid. Now, I will get into my whole bit. First time I ever saw this movie was a week ago from today. Not great. Not a huge fan. I'm going to say Helena Bonham Carter is absolutely fucking fantastic in this film, as well as, she's like the Midas. Everything she does is gold.
Yeah.
She saves this movie, prevents it from scoring at like a 3.7. She brings it up to like a 5.2, 5.3 in my eyes. Tim Burton's fingerprints are all over this film. Don't necessarily think that makes it good. I'm a huge Tim Burton fan. Doesn't do it for me. We'll get into it later, but I don't think Johnny Depp was great. I don't know who I would correct him with, but I don't know who I would replace him with, but I don't think, because like Johnny Depp at this point, he's like a Hall of Famer. Like if there was a Hall of Fame of acting.
But there's got him there.
He is a Hall of Famer.
Yeah.
Yeah, but Edward Scissorhands is before this, and they
Yeah,
don't
to be
even
consistently
even
good.
fucking
Yeah.
compare.
Pirates of the Caribbean's before this too.
Yeah. It's just going into it. Now, maybe it's because I'm watching this movie in 2021, knowing who Johnny Depp is and knowing everything that you expect from him when you see him on the screen, from Donnie Brasco all the way through to fucking Pirates of the Caribbean 7 or whatever it is. He's always at least, like, he's always the bar. It's like Mariano Rivera closing for the, like, he is always at least an A-. The floor is an A- for him. So I don't think he got there. So maybe watching it in 07, I'd feel differently about it. But watching it now with who Johnny Depp is and what, like, we say there's 3 fucking shapeshifters in acting. Gary Oldman, Johnny Depp, and
Daniel
Day-Lewis. It's one of the only roles I don't think he does any shapeshifting in. It's one of the only roles besides Donnie Brasco that it's very clearly Johnny Depp, at least to me.
I will say that seeing us in 2007, I loved it. I did.
I don't have that. I don't have that advantage. I'm giving you what I have from what I saw.
I know, but that's what I'm telling
That's
you.
fair, though.
The other thing that I will say is, now these are personal scores. I'm not looking at this. It's my score.
Right.
The same way your 10 is your score. We're not looking at it as critics who are being, everything's fair and equal. What I like, what you like, we're scoring it for ourselves. With that being said, we've done Jurassic Park, that topped at a 9.5. We did Scott Pilgrim, that was a 9.7 or something.
Yeah.
We've done a lot of movies that I think are way better than this, that we just couldn't give it a 10 because a 10 is perfection. And I'm a little insulted that you came on the show and gave this movie a 10-0. But that's fine. I don't want to discourage you to change your score. Your score is your score. I'm not going to change that. But that's my opening bid on it.
Like, we didn't give Gaines 10.
No, gangs. Well, here's the thing. We knew we were going to run into this problem when we started because we started with heavy hitters.
Yeah.
And we were going to figure the scoring system out a little bit more as we went along. So I think gangs is like in the 7s because we were like, well, if we start off with something as a 9, then where do we go from there?
No, I think we definitely scored gangs higher than
We did?
7. 100%. There,
That's
no,
fair.
we talked
It's been
about
a
how
while
we
since we
couldn't-
did gangs, so
we-
I can't even remember.
Yeah, no, we definitely did. But yeah, I don't 10, man.
And so I'm just going to say it now because the whole do your research thing from before, I was fully prepared because I knew this was one of your favorite movies when I said I didn't like it. And then when I scored it right around a 5, that you were going to say, do you have any reasons that in your head that you think why I wouldn't like it? General reasons, genre reasons?
Are you a fan of like the musical genre?
I thought you were going to say because you don't like musicals. And that's when I was going to say, Vinny, I don't want to fucking yell at you, but I'm going to have to yell at you because I've been in 2 plays.
No, I didn't. That's why.
So that's where the do your research. That's where the do your research
that's
stroke
why I
came
didn't
in.
want to assume.
Because I was going to say, do your research before you come on the show. I've been in fucking Bye Bye Birdie and Guys and Dolls. So
but like that's why I didn't want to. That's why I didn't want to assume like, oh, it's because you don't like musicals. That's why I asked like, are you a fan of the musical genre? And then you would say yes or no. And then my next question would be, are you a fan of like that gothic genre?
Yeah. I just something about this movie. Maybe it's seeing it all these years later. It didn't. Now it was the runtime is good on it, which we'll get into.
Mm-hmm.
It's never. I wasn't looking at my phone a lot, but it just really like. One, I guess I'll just get into it right now. We kind of discussed this. The whole first act is kind of like an opera format, where there's almost no dialogue. It's song to song to song. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
I think in this film, in this story, if you're gonna have the one of 3 acts be an opera, the first act isn't the spot for it.
So
That's not necessarily Burton's fault.
I have to disagree because I'm going to use the Disney now, like a Disney formula. The best way to get exposition out there in a way that's entertaining and enticing to an audience is to do it through a song that's catchy. So that's why a lot of the first acts in Disney films are like prominently song, like I Just Want to Be King or whatever. Like we're getting that information. Yeah.
Yeah. No.
So that's you're marketing it to kids. Like how are you going to do that? Like whatever. So I know it's a little bit different because this film was marketed to adults, but there's a lot of information that needs to be presented to the audience. And the best way to do that is through music. So like literally the first song we get through the song that Sweeney's been lost at sea. He comes back with Anthony and he's scorned for a reason. And then we find out it's because, he had there was a barber and his wife, that whole story. And the judge took the wife from him. That could have easily been done through dialogue, but it's not because, well, number one, it's in the play. That whole musical number is in the play, which I do agree that they did shorten a lot and they took out a lot of shit. For film reasons, I think that's.
No, I
won't give it. I'm not going to downgrade it just for that reason. But
I'm going to downgrade for not having any chorus pieces. Absolutely.
That there is a thing. I don't know if you have it on like the facts thing, but there were going to be ensembles, but Tim Burton cut it.
I know. No, I knew it was cut.
Yeah.
I knew that. And I that's something I disagree with.
Being the one guy in the room with little to zero experience like on the actual execution side of film, other than I've been on a million small budget sets or whatever. We're gauging you or whatever. Is there like a budgeting reason or a recording reason? There's got to be a logistical reason that there would be an advantage to cutting a chorus scene in a movie.
Oh, sure.
Because I've been in plays.
Reason.
The plays I've been in, I've been chorus. I wasn't Sky Masterson or anything. I was a fucking chorus member. But it just feels like that whole act, trying to do that on the silver screen, seems like a logistical nightmare. And when it's not central to the plot that you're trying to tell, when you got to cut corners in this business. Maybe Tim Burton just said, it's worth not having to save the $10 million it's going to cost me or whatever.
Yeah. On a financial level, there's a bunch of reasons.
Not that Mr. Burton's ever been one to spare expense, but
well, that's the thing. Like I don't think that there was any like financial or physical reasons for those not being in the story. I think it was all a choice. Like Tim Burton, it was supposed to, he cut them. He cut them out. He did not want them in there. That's a choice he made. So it wasn't for financial reason. If I turned around and found out in the notes that, it's because of financial reasons or it's because of scheduling reasons, I might have given a little bit of a break and said, well, they did their best. But that wasn't the reason. He cut them. He didn't want them in.
I think for story reasons, the transitions in the play of like when they're changing sets and all that shit, they use the chorus to their advantage to help them do that. But the interludes in the film are covered with the exact music from those interludes and those chorus lines. But the vocals, I feel like, yes, you could argue you can keep the vocals in there, but I feel like having the chorus, there's no feasible way to do that.
There's one song, and I can't think of which one it is, and I don't know why I want to say it's Pretty Women, but I don't think it is Pretty Women, that you also have Lucy and Joanna singing on top of Judge Turbin and
I think
Sweeney.
Isn't it Kiss Me from the play?
No, because it's one of the ones that's in the movie. But it's not all four of them singing. And that is something that I feel like is a shame because you're missing out on a great opportunity at putting a beautiful, haunting quartet. Because that's the point of that song, is because you have Joanna, who is a extreme soprano, and then Lucy, who is also soprano. So you have Sweeney and Turbin, who are these tenors and basses with this deepness and this vibrato, like that. They have this awesome sound to both of them, Alan Rickman and Johnny Depp. That if you took those two high haunting melodies and put them on top of that, I think you lost out. That's what I'm trying to say. I think he lost out on opportunities here.
You just reminded me. I completely forgot because I guess this movie was just so forgettable to me. Alan Rickman's doing fucking Snape. Alan Rickman's doing fucking Snape the whole time. I couldn't look past it. It's not because of the act. It's the way I now, and I've seen him in stuff outside of this and Harry Potter, so I know it's not like a Seth Rogen deal where he's just acts a certain way. He was fucking doing Snape in Sweeney Todd land.
He was doing Snape.
Facially, he was doing at least the first half of his screen time. He's doing Snape.
You know,
at least
he's doing Snape if Lily had a girl and he kidnapped the child instead of giving the child to Dumbledore.
Yeah, it's just like the root of the character that he's doing. He's reading the lines. He's doing the character that's written, but he's doing it like Snape.
Do you think he was intentionally like drawing inspiration from that performance?
Now this was done in 2007, so we're like
right there.
We're in the middle. We're at the fourth one, I think. At that point,
yeah. So he's right in the heart of it. I mean, he might have just been stuck in it. I don't know if he was a method actor, but he could have just been stuck in the role.
I don't know if it's necessarily that he's trying to do Snape. I think it's just like now Harry Potter is not like a dated piece. You know, but like everything about Harry Potter, even though it takes place in the mid to late 90s, because it's the Wizarding World, everything has this mid 19th century feel to it in a way. And this movie actually takes place in the mid 19th century, so it's kind of like similar vibes, similar like
it's also
similar
the
character,
London landscape.
Yeah, the whole thing about it. I just literally, and I tried fighting it because 3 minutes in, I'm like, he's doing Snape.
Do you think that detracts from the performance?
I don't know if it detracts from the performance so much as it just is bland to me in a way. Because it's like, I've seen this before. Like it's the exact, I thought there was almost, if you stick a black fucking trench coat on him and give him a wand, he's Snape. I felt like there was almost, and not just like, I'm talking about his fate, because everything about Snape is with the physical acting too. With the sneering and the snarls and the way he rolls his eyes. And maybe that's just part of Alan Rickman. But like I said, I've seen him in other shit, and I know that this isn't just what he is.
Yeah, because we've seen him in villain roles too, and it's not played the same.
And even like just as silly as it is, Galaxy Quest.
Well, there's a lot more for him to do.
I went to Die Hard. I went to Die Hard. Because he's a true villain in that. Yeah. You know, and he does not play it at all the same.
So I'm glad that that resonated with you a little bit when I said it, because I thought sometimes I'm like, am I just trying? Because I did not decide that I wasn't going to like it. I didn't even decide I didn't like it until the credits rolled. Like because it wasn't one of those movies. Like sometimes I'll turn on a movie 20 minutes in, I'm like, this is fucking trash.
No,
it wasn't that.
Because I remember
but I was very unsatisfied at the end.
I remember too, we were watching it right after The Worst Pies in London, right after she finishes that last note and slams the rolling pin down on the bug. He literally was like, she's fucking phenomenal.
Yeah.
She's great. And that's
Yeah.
the thing that the other point that I want to bring up with the music. If the whole point of the music is to like make it easily memorable and like easily marketable, there's not a single fucking hook to a song that I can remember from the whole movie. Not a single bar from a single
Jesus.
song. I can vaguely.
Which one would you like me to sing?
I was gonna say, I got about 3 in the pocket right now.
The only two that stand out are the little boy with Sacha Baron Cohen, the look at whatever that whole deal he's doing,
Pirelli's Miracle Elixir.
and the terrible fucking meat pie deal. Those are the only two.
The
first meat
one?
pie song when you get introduced to her, the
Yeah.
first time you see her.
The
on
Worst
screen.
Pies in London.
Yes.
Yeah.
That one,
of
and
my
then the
favorites.
little boy song, and then he kind of does a reprise to that song in the beginning towards the end with the meat pies.
Yes.
Oh, God.
And
That's good.
That's it for me. Those are the only two, maybe 3 songs that I
Really?
actually still stick in. And this is only 7 days later. It's not like I watched this 5 years ago.
You didn't like that epiphany scene where he's like running through the streets, like, you know, after he loses the judge, a little priest.
Oh,
That's
love A Little
my
Priest.
favorite song in the whole.
Oh
fucking
my
film.
god, that might be my favorite scene in the entire film.
Yeah.
Really, you know what the one was where I made him laugh was "Nothing's Gonna Harm You."
Yeah.
They start saying that, and I literally looked at him and I was like, sometimes I sing this to Cersei, who's
Oh,
my
yeah.
dog. Yeah, I literally will she'll be like staring out the window or have like her like trauma face on that, you know, for a dog that never went through trauma in her life, she looks like she's seen the war.
She's just adult.
But I'll literally just like come and like start petting her. I'm just like, nothing's gonna harm you, and she just like curls into me, and I'm like, this is what the song is meant for. Like
The whole deal with the wife.
Lucy.
Sure.
Mhm.
That's her name?
Lucy or the beggar woman. Call her.
Sure. That whole deal from the beginning to the end. Like, first of all, the first time you see her on screen, I'm like, oh, that's her. And I have not thought about Sweeney Todd in the last 20 years-ish, 15 years, call it. So it's not like I knew because you know the story. This is consider it, I'd never heard anything first time watching the movie. As soon as she comes on screen, I'm like, oh, that's her. And then the whole way they handle it at the end. Now, I know that's more of like a stage deal. Like the way they handle she's dead. And then all of a sudden he finds out. Like the whole thing unravels in a matter of 40 seconds.
Mhm.
Where she lied to him and this and that. And now they're all fucking dead.
Yeah.
And I know that's like that's the way
That's
plays would handle something like
Yes.
that. But for a movie, even I know it's a stage adaptation, semantics, whatever. It didn't work for me. It's it just wasn't my deal. It's not a terribly made film. Just not for me. And that's where I'm going to leave it on that. If we want to take a break before we.
Yeah, I definitely think we should take a break
Yeah,
before we go.
let's
into
take
it.
a break. Fuck this movie. All right, what's up, guys? As everyone knows, this season we are on YouTube. Last season we weren't, and I got to be honest with you, we were dressing like shit a little bit, you know? We weren't worried about what people saw. We were wearing pajamas. We had Anthony coming in wearing whatever sweats he wore to work that day. Half the time I'd roll out of bed and show up to the studio. But now the people are going to see us, and we got to look fresh. We want that fine Italian fucking material. That's right. We're talking Saatchi di Dinero, streetwear brand from Long Island, New York. The gear is fire. It looks good. Right now I got the M5 Motivated Money Making Monday morning hoodie on, okay? You're going to be able to get this and so much more at SaatchiDiDinero.com. Promo code HAVOC is going to save you 10% off. That's SaatchiDiDenero.com. HAVOC. Promo code HAVOC gets you 10% off. Always authentic, never counterfeit. Saatchi di Dinero. All right, what's up? And we're back. Emily's going to lead us through the internet research for Sweeney Todd.
Okay, so the director was Tim Burton. The writer was John Logan for the screenplay, Hugh Wheeler for the musical, Christopher Bond for the musical adaptation, and Steven Soderheim as the composer. Cinematographer was Darius Walski. Editor Chris Lebenzon. Cast Johnny Depp as Sweeney Todd, Helena Bonham Carter as Mrs. Lovett, Alan Rickman as Judge Turbin, Timothy Spall as Beetle, Sacha Baron Cohen as Pirelli, Jamie Campbell Bower as Anthony, Linda Michael Kelly as Lucy, Jane Wiesner, something like that, as Joanna, Ed Sanders as Toby. Runtime 116 minutes or an hour and 56 minutes. Rated R. Location was Buckinghamshire, England. It was all shot in England, obviously, for aesthetic reasons. Release date was December 21st, 2007. Budget was estimated of $50 million. Box office was $9.3 million. Worldwide was $153 million. Camera Panavision. Awards were Best Art Director. Best Art Director won. Johnny Depp was nominated. Costume Design was nominated. And then for the Golden Globes, Best Musical won. Johnny Depp won. Helen Bonham Carter was nominated, and Tim Burton was nominated.
Johnny Depp shouldn't have won a single thing for this movie.
We also have to think too with the Golden Globes, it's divided by musical comedy, so it's a little different categories there.
Niche market.
Yeah, I do think costume design though easily could be nominated. I think the costume design in this is fantastic.
Yeah, but that's not Johnny Depp.
Yeah.
No, but I'm saying if there are any awards for this, I do think the costume design is one that I holds up because it's really phenomenal. Every outfit is beautifully made, and if we're gonna give an award to Helen Bonham Carter in this one,
it's just aesthetically amazing.
Oh, it's beautiful.
I mean, I'm not, I don't want to dump on it too much. It's just not my thing.
Yeah, but so some facts. Soderheim did not want to film this until Burton told him his vision on the condition he had casting approval. So that was a big thing. The only adaptation Soderheim actually approves of. For auditions, Sacha Baron Cohen sang the entire Fiddler, the entire score of Fiddler on the Roof. I couldn't think of the word there. Helen Bonham Carter practiced singing while baking to get into the motion of actually singing while baking. Cohen hired his professional barber to teach him how to shave. Tim Burton insisted the film be more bloody than the stage because of actually what you said, it being a cathartic thing for Todd, that these murders and stuff like that. And also he felt that in the stage show that was one thing lacking, that the violence and the blood was lacking. But you also think too, it's a stage show. Like they have to keep going onto the same platform over and over and over again for a 2-3 hour show. It's just a safety issue if you're gonna have that much blood. You have to somehow figure out how to contain that. So it makes sense why the play can't be what maybe they originally envisioned. Carter was pregnant throughout the whole film, and it was with their second child. Helen Bonham Carter she doesn't like watching her performances, so she's never rewatched this. And she said she hasn't rewatched most of her stuff, but she said she'll get around eventually to watching this.
I never understood that.
I don't.
It's like watching the game tape.
No, it's not.
It's so different when you're acting.
I can speak. I mean, he knows. I can speak from my own personal experience. I hate watching myself.
Yeah.
I do not, and I'm forced to because of my position, where I have to go through. I have to check it before I can go out. I can't stand it.
How is it not like watching game tape though?
Because
you watch back your performance, you note the things that worked, you note the things that didn't work.
Because there's so many other external components that go into film that aren't like when you're on the field. That's it. Like there's no the lighting was so shit in this scene. Like it makes me look terrible. Like that's you don't. No,
that's not necessarily true. There is things like that because specifically if we're talking football, there's 11 guys on the field, so there could be something that looks like it's completely your fault, but really this guy made the wrong call or that guy did something wrong.
I think what the difference is that in sports, like let's say football, and we're watching you're the quarterback and we're watching that throw. All quarterbacks throw, not the same, but they'll throw. Acting is not the same. Because, we all act. We all may be acting similar, but my method of getting there versus your method of getting there are different. And if it's an emotional film that maybe took a lot out of me, I can't watch it because of an emotional reason, because it brings me back into maybe a dark place I had to get into that for character. The reason why I personally don't like watching it is I think I look ridiculous. I really do. And honestly, I'm not the only person that feels that, because there's an actor from Vikings who played Ivar. I was watching an interview of him and they were showing him a scene that is held at one of they say it's like one of his best acting scenes he's ever done. And it really is. It's a phenomenal scene. But he's a madman in it. He's screaming in I don't even know. I don't know if it's Swedish or I don't know what language it is. But he's freaking screaming. He's painted. It's all bloody, and he's going crazy. And he's in this mode of that he's a god, and he's like, "You are my people. Like this is my land. Like we will control Kattegat and all this stuff." And he's watching it. As he's watching it, you just see the sheer embarrassment that crosses his face. And he literally puts his head down. He's like, I can't even watch it. He's like, I just think I look ridiculous. And me and my friends who all like this, we were like, that's one of the best scenes in the entire series. So it's just personal. It's personal because it's like watching yourself like mess up something and knowing that everyone's gonna see that. Everyone's gonna see that version that you think of yourself. It's more of a projection thing. It's me projecting that I think I look ridiculous. I think like no one's going to think this works, so this looks good. And in reality, like The Attack, you were there when all of a sudden people were coming over, like Matt and Jen, like, oh my God, I watched The Attack, and like scared the shit out of me. Like I'd keep telling myself it was you, and I was like, what? Like I couldn't even get through that in editing. Like I thought I looked ridiculous. So it's an opinion thing. It's just something that I guess this is our craft, and this is something we put so much passion into. And then to rewatch it and think you look like just ridiculous, or it's like, oh my God, why did I make that choice? Or why am I screaming like that? And then all of a sudden you're winning the Oscar.
But that's what I'm saying. That's why you watch it, to learn from it.
Yeah, but you don't learn from it. That's the problem. It's not really like that because...
Fickle people.
Yeah, actors are fickle. Yeah, 100%.
I just think that there's so many other external components that make watching a screen performance a little bit more difficult than, I don't know, watching a play on the field or whatever. And you can watch both for educational purposes. Like I think that you can learn a lot from watching your past performances and shit, but I think that it's just you on that screen in that moment versus 12 other guys, that you're kind of meddled with, and you can kind of balance out that, all right, it's not just me, it's, or I didn't fuck up because, so-and-so, he threw a bad pass or whatever. But when you're watching yourself on a big screen, it's very intimidating. Like I can attest to that. It is very intimidating.
It's tough. It's tough. Because you know what it is too? I think part of the reason I don't rewatch it is because I think if I rewatch myself and I like as if I was like trying to fix things, and I rewatch myself and I'd see choices I make or faces I'd make, I'd turn around and say, oh, I'm not going to do that again. And that might be needed. That might be needed for a role. Or I may think that looks ridiculous and that didn't work, but everyone else felt that worked. That made the character appear or do or whatever it be. Like, the director might be turning around and saying that was the best shot of the entire film, and here I am thinking that looks ridiculous. It's because it's me. It's like seeing a picture of yourself and going like, oh my God, I look horrible, and that, and everyone's going, what do you mean? That's
it's like the first time you spoke on a podcast and then you had to edit it.
Well, that's the same thing.
I get that. The first time I listened to myself on a podcast, I was like, ooh.
I was rough. I hated that. I was like, this is...
But it's all right. I'm a master.
Is this my voice? Did I really sound like
what did I say? Yes.
I felt like Yzma.
Yes, you really do.
I became Yzma. I was like, stop sounding my voice.
Pull the lever, crunk.
So moving on budget, where are we at here?
I'm into facts,
we're way
babe.
past that.
Yeah, babe.
Well, let's go.
Jeez. Depp said he considered Todd a long-lost relative of Edward Scissorhands. And Hathaway was almost Joanna. Some of the pies were edible, and it was apparently they made well over 600 pies. I've actually had meat pies in London. They're not bad. They're a little bland.
Did you have the worst pies in London?
They were not the worst pies in London.
That's good.
They don't know how to cook anything in London.
That's so not true. The fish and chips was the best fish and chips I've ever had in my life.
They can fry fucking flounder strips and French fries. Culinary fucking capital of the world, babe.
I'm just saying, it was phenomenal.
Get me the best fucking amateur cook in London. I'll cook circles around that dude. Find me, call me, let's do it, bro. Or female, bro.
Bruh.
Bruh.
Depp, which I actually just found this out, that this was the first film Depp sang, because the other musical he was in was Crybaby, and he lip synced the entire thing, which I did not know. I thought they had mashed his voice.
Was it somebody else that he lip synced to, or he lip synced his own?
No, he lip synced to someone else the entire film.
Okay, that blew my
Right,
mind.
I thought they mashed his voice with someone
They
else.
did that really fucking well.
Yeah. So that destroyed me a little bit. Helen Bonham Carter had extensive vocal and baking lessons to master this role. The play has Toby as a special needs adult, not a child, and in the play his name is Tobias. What?
His name's Tobias in the movie too.
Do they say
Toby's
but
just
they
a
don't say
nickname.
Toby in the
I don't know
play.
if they ever call him. Someone calls him Tobias at least once. In that
It might have
movie.
been Pirelli.
Yeah, I think Pirelli does
Yeah.
call him
Pirelli said it, I
Tobias.
think, once.
Because I saw that and I was like, I was assuming I just knew that because I know the play, but I could have sworn they
No,
said the movie
because
too.
I'm here telling you that his name's Tobias, and I've only ever seen this movie one time.
Right, okay,
Never
so-
seen the play, so.
Yes, so that was that. This is his 7th collab between Depp and Burton. The first appearance of the story was in 1846, called The String of Pearls, and it was not the same. Like, he wasn't a scorn. I mean, he may have been scorned, but it wasn't the same storyline. He was more crazy. He was more of a crazy barber than he was a scorned barber like he is in this storyline, and that was made more for the play adaptation. The original production was the original Broadway production was February 6, 1979, and it ran for 557 performances. Won the 1979 Tony for Best Musical, Book, and Score, which we talked about earlier. Multiple songs were excluded and some eliminated or shortened. Film was in development for over 25 years. It wasn't until Burton came along with his vision that they convinced Sondheim to actually make it. The film's conductor was the original musical director and conductor for the Broadway production, Paul Jumanji or something.
Jumanji.
No, I know it's something weird like that. I'm definitely butchering that, so I know.
Where's Gage when we need him?
I know. I
Gage
need
is-
someone to
Gage is
just
the name
read
master.
names for me. I'm so bad at it. Burton's trademark is seen with the black and white stripes when you see them at the beach in their bathing suits. That's we said all of his films. There's a body count of 12 in this film. In the play, Joanna shoots the warden instead of taking as much of a passive role as she does in this, or Antony. So what happens is it's the same idea where she gets sent to the
Bedlam.
Yeah, the bedlam. Yeah. I was gonna say the prostitution ring. The bedlam. Because like it's pretty much it's not. It is, but it's more of like a whorehouse. Like that's the whole point behind it. Is that you're gonna run away with a sailor. You're not deserving of me. You deserve the streets type of situation. So that's kind of. But he it's the same idea, right? Antony goes to save her and he goes to shoot the warden, but he can't. She takes the gun and shoots him instead of allowing like the way it happens. But they decide to have Joanna take a more passive role in this, which I kind of understand because I feel like if they made her, I don't know.
It would have been so out of character.
Yeah, it just wouldn't have made sense for that to be the only thing that we really see her stand up for herself, and then we never really see her again. So it made more sense for the movie to do it this way. We only see Todd complete 2 shaves. Everything else is either stopped midway or he kills them. Only 3 main characters left alive: Antony, Joanna, and Toby. Pirelli in the play is an Irishman named Daniel O'Higgins. And in the play, Todd slits Pirelli's throat instead of bashing him over the head with the teapot or whatever it is. And the homage to him opening up and slitting his throat was to being in the play. But again, they were going more of a bloody way and stuff like that. So that's pretty much all the notes on this. Yeah, I mean, we can go more into why James doesn't like it. Or why Vinny holds it at such a high regard.
So you kind of touched on it doing the notes a little bit, how past iterations, possibly even the play, but other iterations of the story, because this is an old British folk story that's been passed down since like the 1600s.
I mean, it was written down in 1846. Well, that was the first mention, written down
So
mention of him.
maybe I'm
But, I mean,
over exaggerating. Oh,
No, you may not be because
say 1800s. It's an old. It's like the British boogeyman.
well, it's based
in
on
a
a real barber of Fleet Street.
Yeah, but that you can't. You're gonna. It's based on somebody who might be based on somebody who might have lived in 1804.
Well, that's my point. It's the lore is based on a
which
real
is
barber.
these are how all of these folk stories kind of start, from a dramatized version of a guy that lived on someone's block somewhere.
He's kind of like a Jack the Ripper.
This movie
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
lays out that his wife is killed and the daughter, and so he's mad about that, and so he wants to kill this man. Not really clear when, why, or how he became a mass murdering psychopath.
I don't think that moment is prevalent until he unleashes on Pirelli.
Yes.
Because he was kind of holding back for a while, and then when
But
Pirelli was kind of poking at him a little bit.
That
and
is the
then- yeah.
moment that he turns into a fucking psychopath.
Yeah.
But there is no like clear reasoning. There's no clear driving factor. I mean, it's the wife is dead thing, and he wants to have his vengeance.
Well,
To me,
it's-
that means you take that out directly on the people or person responsible for it. He wants to murder anybody that's in his fucking chair.
No, that's not.
With
I
yeah.
disagree with that. That's not really so.
state your case.
It's in the first song. They discussed that he was away for 15 years,
right?
and the point is he's imprisoned in Australia because this is during the time that England had
Right.
colonized Australia. So he's hardened there because he's in Australia with all these. I mean, worst of the worst criminals in a land that's meant to kill you. So that's where he got hardened. And this entire time, he was thinking about this judge that falsely accused him, imprisoned him on this land, and God only knows
Gotcha.
what happens, right? So then when he goes to Mrs. Lovett, his intention is not to be a mass murderer. His intention is for revenge against the judge and to find his wife and child. Then when he meets Mrs. Lovett, you find out that there's a meat problem in London, and there's a mass poverty problem in London with the worst pies in London, the point, so on. And then it moves on to her telling the story of Benjamin Barker and how that all happened. And then that's when he finds out that his wife was raped and murdered and drugged, and that his daughter is now imprisoned by the man who did all these things to him and his family. And that's that switch of no longer like, I don't just want revenge. I want to consume him. I want to destroy everything he has and loves.
About this one specific guy.
Right. But
I don't disagree with all
right.
of
But
that.
then I'm telling you, when it turns is when Pirelli comes and turns off his act and tells Todd that he actually is English and he was an apprentice of Benjamin Barker, and then he calls him out, telling him that he knows he's
Right,
Benjamin Barker.
right, and-
That's when he kills him,
Yes.
right? And that's the only reason he kills him, and it's a quote, is because he knew who he was. Mrs. Lovett is the reason they start killing.
Would you say that Mrs.
No.
Lovett is the antagonist of the
She
film?
is 100%
Yes.
the antagonist.
Yes.
Yes.
The wolf in sheep's clothing of the movie. But I disagree with you because they have the whole conversation about you have the bloodlust, Mr. T, and you need it's like a bloodlust, and he feels compelled to kill because, like you said, 12 bodies drop. How many does he drop personally? 9 or 10?
12.
You said 12 total. He dies.
No. I'm sorry. I misspoke. So
He drops 12 bodies in the process
Yes.
of this. When there's realistically only 2 or 3 people he needs to kill. The meat thing, at least the way that I perceived it, came up as an easy way to dispose of the bodies to handle his bloodlust and his need for mass murder. Because they have fucking... Now, I know what you're going to say, that they ran out of pies and it was late at night when they're about to close. But a random guy just comes walking up for a shave, seemingly perfect timing when they're about to run out of product anyway. So he just lets him up there and fucking kills the guy.
There's a reason for that. he gets to the moment where, well, first of all, when he kills Pirelli, that's 15 years of aggression and rage unleashed in that moment.
I'm okay with Pirelli. I'm okay with Alan Rickman.
But the other people,
Everything in between is
So-
senseless murder, and it's not that I don't have a problem with it. It needs to be made more clear.
And,
His motivation
I think that's the problem with the
seems
movie.
super fucking weak.
Yeah, and that's problem with cutting songs and stuff like that.
And that's part of the problem, probably the root of this entire reason why I wasn't a fan. Because now I get it's a stage production brought on film. A lot of that isn't easy. A lot of these plays made films have these problems. But it felt like the same way we'll get to it with another character. I have strong feelings about a villain in another movie that we're going to do. It wasn't enough. The moment of him going psychotic is clear. That's clearly after he smashes Sacha Baron Cohen's head in with the tea kettle, and then he wakes up unconscious and he cuts his throat. And from that moment forward, it's game on. But from getting to point A to point B, I don't feel like there's any justification, because it's not to make the meat pies. We're making the meat pies to get rid of the bodies. It's quite the opposite.
Can I give the justification? 2 songs explain those reasonings. The first one is There's No Place Like London, where he says there's a hole in the world, like a great back plate, and the vermin of the world inhabit it. That's like, okay, he's pissed. Like, people, he doesn't want to be around anybody, whatever. Then Epiphany says they all deserve to die. That's after he gets the judge and he loses him. I'm never going to get the chance again. I'm so fucking mad. I need to get out my aggression. I need to get out my rage. And then Mrs. Lovett comes back at that idea with, oh, we can make this work to our advantage. And Todd really looks for her approval, which is very strange because he always looks like he has the upper hand. But in that one scene where Anthony comes in, it's like, oh, can I bring Joanna here? Notice that Todd doesn't say anything. He looks to Mrs. Lovett,
Yeah.
and she's like, oh yeah, you can bring him here. Like, Todd doesn't make that instruction, like she does. So she's like forcing everything. Yeah.
She's also the one that saves Toby.
Yeah.
Because he wants to kill Toby.
Well, she's quite obviously pulling the strings the whole time by the time we get to the end of the movie. Can I make a connection quick, and you can tell me if I'm wrong about this? I feel like this has a slight Oedipus connection to it, in terms of he's so consumed by what's going on and he's doing anything to get his goal done that in the end he's ultimately he smites himself.
It's the fatal flaw.
Yeah, it's a classic trope.
Yeah.
It's like, but like specifically I tied it to Oedipus with the like finding out at the end that he bangs his mom and then poses, because he ultimately winds up this whole time he's doing everything for his wife, and the murder that he thinks the least about is actually he's the fucking guy he wants to kill, because he just killed it, and it's literally the least significant murder in the entire movie. It's just like, get the fuck out of my way.
And that's ultimately
and
what
without even thinking about it, he just killed his own wife, and I made that the Oedipus connection to the end of that play.
You could argue
I think
it.
that's a really good connection.
Yeah, I never really thought about it, but yeah, you easily could argue.
Now,
that.
obviously, there's not the mother-son deal.
It's the
but
search
that's
for
not-
power. And
It's just like the fucking being too blind with rage to see through the fucking smoke and mirrors, and then ultimately being the person that you've trying to destroy this entire time.
But think about too how those parallels of how apprehensive he was at first to killing Pirelli. Like, he let him ramble on for a long time, but when Lucy comes in and she says, don't I know you? And Todd's like, I have no time for this, which he says that in the play. He's like, I have no time for you. And then he slits it.
Yeah.
They obviously do that in the movie, but he doesn't even think about it. So that's like how much he's
So
devolved.
like he's so fucking focused on his goal, which at that point is just to get his vengeance on Alan Rickman, where he's probably just going to shave this guy and let him fucking take his act and leave and go down the road until he says, oh, you're Barker.
Yeah, he wanted that.
And then, so now there's reason for it, because you need to this guy's going to ruin the whole plan.
Yeah.
So it was a little bit of the rage and a little bit of a necessity with that kill.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, definitely. And it's interesting. One of the things that you were talking about before, like how much they cut and stuff, that line that Lucy says, don't I know you, mister? She says that in the first scene of the play.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's interesting that Todd and Lucy don't have any interactions in the film until that point. But in the play, they see each other, I'm pretty sure, like 3 times.
Yeah, that's why that song bothers me too, because it's like
that is the other thing that drives me crazy, and I understand why it is how it is, blinded by rage and anger in 15 years. But the way that he speaks about Lucy throughout the whole first act of the play, wouldn't you recognize her?
Well, she asked him that, and
Yeah, I know,
he kind of was like,
he's
he didn't
so
want to admit
fucking
it. Yeah.
he's so blinded by his rage and his 15
Mhm.
years of whatever you want to call it that he can't even look and see that what he wants is right in front of him from the
Yeah.
beginning because he's so consumed by fucking himself, I guess, in a way.
But like he did think she was dead, so that
Right.
who the hell would have anticipated that?
Yeah,
some
and
beggar
she
woman.
has been a beggar for upwards of 15 years.
But
She's,
I'm just-
she's
It was the hair that
crazy.
got him. Yeah.
But the way that the character is written and the way that he sings about her and speaks about her and everything, you would think that like intuition would care, but you know, this is just fucking picking nits.
He also says to Judge Turbin, bleh, how did Turbin not recognize that Sweeney Todd was Benjamin Barker? So it's like you have those parallels of like, oh, but I suppose the face of a barber or a prisoner in the dark is not memorable. You can even use the same argument to how Todd didn't recognize Lucy. Like the face of a beggar is not particularly memorable, especially in the dark. So that's why
Yeah.
I give that moment a pass. Like at first it bothered me that they didn't have that scene at the beginning where they see each other for the first time. But watching the film again last night or whatever, 2 nights ago, that's how I kind of justified it, because where it's like it's so much more impactful.
Am I wrong? She kind of yells that line out over Toby as Toby's escorting her out, right? The
No.
"Don't I know you, sir"?
No,
Is that right
she
before Toby
breaks
kicks
in.
her out?
She goes after because she sees Todd take the beetle up, and she sees that, and she's like, "Oh, mischief, whatever." She's going, yeah. That freaked me out. I wasn't prepared for that. And Joanna was hiding there. So you had at one point, Todd had what he wanted. He had Lucy and Joanna in the same room, and because of his fatal flaw, that fucked it up because he was blinded, like you said, by his rage. And I think that's what makes such a compelling character, is that in the beginning he has this goal that almost gets muddled by the desire to kill.
I think the character is certainly compelling. The execution in this project didn't quite send it home.
I have to disagree.
Yeah, I think there's issues. There's things. Honestly, I won't lie. This time watching it around, I remember feeling this way as a kid, and I don't feel this way about the play, but it's something that bothers me in the movie. Is the whole Anthony Joanna relationship really bothers me in this
They
movie.
toned it down so
That's
much
why.
though from the. But you don't like that they toned it down?
I think that's why. I think when it's being that it's so toned down,
It's
It's
almost
missing
like it's almost like the
something.
character of Anthony does. Anthony.
it's Anthony actually.
He
Anthony.
doesn't need to be there. Like you can
That's-
do
Well,
without him.
Todd needs a way to find out that Joanna's alive, and Anthony is the only way that he can possibly find out that Joanna's alive.
Right, but in the movie, it's clear that Anthony is there for that
That's
reason
what I'm saying,
solely.
yeah.
In the play, he actually has purpose.
They have a lot of they do have that whole kiss me scene.
There's
that song.
so much.
There's the scene where I think in the play, Turbin kills the bird, the finch. He snaps his neck.
Yes. I
So
think
that was a big scene that I was surprised that they cut. But I understand for time reasons, like this film is what'd you say it was is an hour 57?
Yeah, it's
2
just-
hours.
Yeah.
It's about 2 hours.
So
yeah.
there's only so much. You can have a film that's 2 hours and you get as much detail as you possibly can, or you have, I'm bringing this up for a second time, but Les Miserables, that's very long and it has quite a lot of source material in the movie.
I don't even want to talk about Les Mis.
So it's like, how do you find that balance?
Here's what I'll say about the runtime. The runtime, now we say this, I've said it like on every show. I got this thing about 2 hours. The 2 hour mark can make or break a movie. Like if you got a movie that goes 220 and it's not like you feel lukewarm about it, odds are you can cut 12 to 18 minutes off of that movie and make it better. That's how I feel about a lot of movies. But the time isn't necessarily what matters. You could also have a 2 hour and 20-minute movie that feels like you could have sat there for an extra 20 or 30 minutes. It's how it feels and how it's written and how it's paced. I didn't think this movie had a runtime or a pacing issue, but I do think if you threw another 25 minutes on, like I'm tapping out.
That's what I'm saying. Like, how
Like,
much more could you
If
add
you
to this
throw
film?
another 25 minutes onto this movie and it's at least 10 to 12 minutes in musical numbers,
Because
You're not getting me to the end.
60% of this movie is music. Like
The music is fine.
Yeah.
I just like if you told me you were gonna throw another half hour on and half of that half hour is musical numbers, you're not gonna get me through the end of it without fidgeting in my seat, checking my phone,
and a lot of the
texting
things,
my buddies.
a lot of the things that you were saying were omitted were musical numbers. It was chorus. It was a lot of scenes between Anthony and Joanna that were musical numbers in the play. So they don't really have a lot of interactions that aren't musical numbers in the play. So it's hard because since they're trying to keep this consistent tone, having those love songs and all that stuff, I feel would detract from the tone I feel like Burton was going for.
No, I understand why the choices were made, but it affects the score.
That's fair.
That's honestly how I feel about it, because it's just like, and probably too is that I'm a massive musical person. We have seen musicals handled very well in songs and scenes being omitted, Rent being one of them. Rent is a phenomenal film that stands alone away from the play, but also stands as a great adaptation, and it omitted a lot. One of the things it omitted was one of the main characters, like an origin thing, which is a death scene in a song, and there's a reason for why it was omitted, but it still works. It doesn't affect the storyline. Like this, the omitting this, I feel affected the storyline because it made characters not pointless, but there for exposition. Anthony is clearly there to drive the story along. Joanna, why is Joanna even there?
To give Todd hope.
Or to give Todd a reason to need to murder the judge because she's still alive.
But that's the play too. The play is Todd and Joanna never have a scene together.
No, it's not about that though. But Joanna, at least in the play, has a leg to stand on. She's at least someone. She's a character.
I do agree that she's, as a character, she's not fleshed out in the movie. But there's so many other things going on that giving screen time to Joanna would detract from the rest of the. Clearly, it's Todd's movie, but at the same time, you give more scenes to Joanna. I understand the reason why, because I agree she should have been more fleshed out. But it's hard finding that.
Think of it
balance.
this way, though. In reality, you could completely cut Joanna and Anthony, and it does not change the storyline. You could inference them, you could exposition them, we could talk about them, you could hear about Joanna, you could never once see her.
At the end.
I understand why it's necessary, but think about it. You could literally completely omit them and still have the same story. That's a problem. Then they're not necessary.
And then the reason why the judge ends up going to Todd in the first place was because he wants to look good creepily for Joanna.
I know. I understand. Again, so she's just a driving force in this. She's the same as a car. She's the same as she's just a want. She's not a person. You know what I'm saying? Like,
no, I do agree with that. I just for me, it didn't take anything out of it. I understand why it took out of it.
Yeah,
it took you out of it.
Because even think of Anthony. Anthony too. He just sees her in the window, thinks she's pretty, and then wants her. Joanna the entire time is just an object of men's desires. The entire time.
Put it that way. It's kind of hard to dispute that.
Yeah. No, but that's what she is. And she's not giving any characterization. She's not giving any real reason to be there.
She's no different from a piece of jewelry or a treasure chest or anything with value.
Yeah. And in the play,
she's itemized
exactly.
in the movie.
Yeah. And in the play, at least, she is itemized, but she has a redemption moment. She stands up for herself, and she's not this weak little thing that she's made to be. And I think, too, that's why Greenfinch and Lindbergh hits a lot harder in the play, because she's saying, like, yeah, I may be trapped like my lark, but I'm still going to sing. I still have my voice. I still have my power. And that song means next to nothing without all the other stuff for her. You know, like, so.
And I think it means less to that he didn't kill the bird.
Yeah, I think that matters too.
It's like, I'm taking your freedom away from you.
Right, that's a symbol of
your
her.
hope.
Yeah. So I think there's issues there. But I guess let's take a quick break and then we'll come back. Did you have anything to say?
There was something that I had to say before we took the break, and now it's skipping my mind. Now we'll just take the break. Drop the OY and focus on you this October with Stay Thirsty Co's Droptober. That's right. Every week in the month of October, brand new drops. On top of this, the promo code HAVOC, HAVOC, is going to get you 15% off of your total order. That's staythirstyco.com. Droptober, new drops every week the month of October. It's going to be sick. You want to get it first. Promo code's HAVOC. What's up? We're back. It is time, the best time of the show, the highly esteemed Rewind Awards. Going to start with Best Acting. For me, this is a landslide victory. Unanimous decision. Helena Bonham Carter.
Agreed.
Johnny Depp.
No.
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 No. I say no.
No.
There is so much suppressed emotion and anger and rage that is all expressed non-verbally, and in the play, it's you have to exuberate all of that. But in the movie, that's all suppressed. And the times when he does unleash, you feel it, and you feel the tension every time he's in the room, especially when he finds out that Mrs. Levitt lied to him, and he's like, "Come here, my love." Like that moment, you're like, "Oh shit." Like that look in his eyes.
I can tell you,
fucking terrifying.
every single time they are together on scene, I never look at him.
Helena Bonham Carter controls the dynamic of the room every time she's in the room. She controls the dynamic. Like whenever the camera's on her, it's on her and then everybody else. And she controls the electricity between the two of them and the charisma. Everything goes through her. She's the all-time point guard of this movie. Yeah, Johnny Depp's. I mean, I don't even want to get it. I have plenty. I got time for Johnny Depp when we get to a different award. But like you said, the first in the worst pies in London, you could see it on my face, and I said that she's fucking phenomenal, and I already knew she was phenomenal. She's amazing in everything. So, in these situations, you want to look at it and maybe think, is it just because of my blind love for her work? Not the case.
No, I don't think so. I think she is everything of this movie. I think she's stunning. She's just stunning to watch. Like you said, she controls every scene. She's just even the scene, and honestly, this is why I think she wins, because even the scene where she pulls out his blades for the first time and he sings "My Friends," and she's supposed to be this background little mousy, "I'm your friend too, Mr. Todd," all that type of stuff. She steals the scene. It's his song. It's his moment. It's his big. This is his moment, and I don't give a shit about it.
I agree.
I watch her the entire
100%.
fucking time. Every time I watch that scene, I watch her. I watch her face. I watch her. I never watch him. Even when he's up and she's down on she's kneeling and he stood up and now has the blade in his hands. I'm still watching her kneeling on the ground. She's just that
She's
good.
the star of the show.
She is. She's that good. She is just that good. And actually, I forgot to say this in the notes. Sondheim almost did not allow Johnny Depp to play Todd because of his voice.
Would have been a good choice.
It was after he heard him do more Broadway that he was like, okay, he can actually work, because he was like, no, he's too rock and roll. But I do think his voice does work for the play. I mean, for this version of it. But
for someone who hasn't sung on film, I think he nailed it.
well, he's also a singer though. Johnny Depp is
in this
singer.
way though, in this because singing these types of songs
It's difficult.
and what he's doing with the Hollywood Vampires,
100%.
so different.
Mhm.
Yeah. So to be able to pull this off is very impressive.
I mean, I had this conversation recently with one of my friends who's a singer, and another friend who's a singer. So the one friend who's she can sing anything anyway, it doesn't matter. She thinks every song's easy. She just has that type of voice. Me and my other friend disagree, because we're both trained in musical theater and Broadway and jazz. Two completely different styles of singing, two completely different ways of saying, where you hold your voice, where you project, all that stuff. And then when I switch to rock or pop or sing with him, it's a little harder for us to nail those songs and get that, because of mouth vowels and breathing and the way you're supposed to do things. So I will have to say kudos to him for that, because to jump into this type of musical is tough. It's not easy. It's not easy songs. Todd is not an easy role to do well. So I do give him credit for that. Absolutely. I don't think he's bad in the role, but he's not the best performance at all. Sorry, Vinny.
Listen, it's opinions.
I don't think he's the second or the third best performance, but that's besides the point.
Who would you cast as
Toby.
him?
Oh, who would I cast instead of him?
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm not necessarily playing the recast
You think
game.
Toby
I
was
think
better?
Toby was better than Johnny
All
Depp.
right. That's
honestly-
a
I didn't
bias.
even-
I
I
think
swear to God, I didn't even hear that part. I
in
was
his
like, wait,
role,
where did that? What?
in his role, I think he was better at executing his role than Johnny Depp was.
No,
My
I
God,
disagree.
I have
with
to.
that.
Best quotes, I'm going to defer to you two because I think they all suck.
Holy
James,
shit!
oh my god.
So I'm going to defer to you two on quotes.
All right, I'm gonna go first. So I said I have a couple. The history of the world, my pet, is learn forgiveness and try to forget, and that's at the very end when he's about to kill her. I love that line, and I love the fact that he's about to kill her too. So it's this whole. There's so many different things about that line, and then the other couple others were, "These are desperate times, Mrs. Lovett, and desperate measures are called for." When Joanna sings in Greenfinch and Linnetbird, "If I cannot fly, let me sing." That I was in 7th grade when this came out. That line
Hold
and
on.
that
Hold on. No, you weren't.
December
Okay,
2007,
yeah.
I was in 7th
Never mind.
grade.
Yeah, you were.
I was in 7th grade.
I always think 2007 and think I was in high school, but
No.
07, 08 was my freshman year.
Yeah, no,
So,
I was in 7th grade. So that really stuck to me. And then when I sang it for Nisma a couple years later in high school, I just singing that song, like you feel the emotion of that song. It's actually a pretty emotional song. And being so high, it's tough if that's not really your range. What was his crime? Foolishness. I think that's a great line too. I have to hand it to her. What I call enterprise, popping pussies into pies, wouldn't do in my shop. Just the thought of it's enough to make you sick. And I'm telling you that pussycat is quick. I love that line because of Todd's face. Because she's like, like, I would never do that. And she's like, I'm telling you that pussycat is quick. And he's like, wait, what? Like, so now you're telling me that it's just because you can't catch them that you're not using them. So I think that's a great line. I also think it's very fitting of Mrs. Lovett. Kind of shows who she is, where she's kind of a keeping up with the Joneses type person, where it's like, oh, I'm this person, I'm great and this and that, but I'll do what it takes to, get by type thing. The line after she finds out that he kills Sacha Baron Cohen, which was, Mr. T, you did it. You're barky mad, killing a man. What done you no harm? And then he turns around and says, he recognized me from the old days, tried to blackmail me, half my earnings. And she goes, oh, well, that's a different matter then. Like, I love
It's like I thought you got mad for
yeah,
a
she's
second.
like, for a moment there, I thought you lost your marbles. I think that's a great line too, because it's just like, it's just the quick turn of, oh my God, you're crazy, to be like, oh, no, that makes sense. Yeah, I do that too, Another great one is, so they don't come in sins of the flesh, so it's pretty fresh, which is Bella Priest. I thought that was great too, because like, I think that whole song is great, honestly. The little quips about the different, well, if you're British and loyal, you might enjoy Royal Marine. Anyway, it's clean. Like, I love shit like that. It's so great. And then, like, yeah, the priest and the poet, and just great. And then the last one I had was I'll come again when you have Judge on the menu, which is kind of that
That was one of mine.
classic.
that one was good.
That's
Yeah.
a great one. And I think that's probably one of the most known lines from this movie and this play. So for best quote, for probably nostalgia reasons, I would say If I Cannot Fly, Let Me Sing, just because it just holds such a meaning to me. But there's a bunch of good ones.
Mine is At Last, My Arm is Complete Again.
I knew you were gonna say that one.
Really?
Yeah,
Eh,
I almost wrote
it's
that
not a
one
bad one.
down.
It's
But
not a bad one.
And I like, that's my number one. My number two is when he's on the boat with Anthony and he says, you are young, life has been kind to you. It's kind to you and you will learn. That's
yeah, that's a good one too.
and I do like I'll Come Again when you have Judge on the menu. That's a fucking
It's
great
the
one.
way
Come
he
Again When You Have Judge
delivers
on the
it.
menu is great.
Yeah.
It is a good one.
I think it's his
the
delivery
whole,
too.
the whole part of it.
Yeah, that whole song is great. From the moment from her finding out about like Mr. T didn't to, well, I guess he won't have any relatives gonna come around poking,
Yeah.
looking for him, and that whole entire exchange, the dancing, like
Mhm.
I mean, well, might as well just go right into favorite scene. That's probably my favorite scene.
My favorite scene is gotta be the Sacha Baron Cohen shave. the Pirelli shave.
Oh, the contest.
That's a good
No, not the contest. When he comes back for the personal shave and he shaves him, the reveal that I'm really an Englishman and I know who you are, and he fucking picks up the tea kettle. Because it's like he's sitting there. It's almost like Pirelli isn't what sets him over the edge, because then the tea kettle starts pissing and it makes him look at it. And it's almost like the sound of that is what finally made him fucking mad enough. Picks up the tea kettle, beats the piss out of him. I love a good bludgeoning to death. Like, weapons are a little, you know.
There
And
is
it was so
they're
unexpected.
clean.
too.
Anybody who has already got a razor blade behind someone's
Yeah.
neck, trusting, could cut their throat. It takes a special kind of sociopath to beat the life out of a man with a fucking tea kettle. And that whole thing, the way, like, even as much as I don't like Johnny Depp's performance, like, that whole scene, the physical acting with his body while he's doing it, and then doesn't he drop it after?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's like beating his past away. Like
That
in
whole
Remnants.
Yeah.
that whole deal, and then not everything that happens in the in-between, but also when he pulls him back out of the trunk and finishes the job.
Yeah.
That's part of it.
You know what I think too about that scene?
Worst scene? Before we keep going, my worst
Wait,
scene.
I want
Go ahead.
just because it's about the scene. You know, I thought too about that scene is that when you say he's being at the best, he's killing Benjamin Barker. That's like, it's mentally like, I think there's a moment where he stops seeing Pirelli and starts seeing Benjamin Barker, and he's killing
100%.
what like, it's almost like he's killing what good was left inside of him, you know, and that, like, that's where we're moving on. But what were you gonna say? Worst scene?
The whole bit at the end where he kills the wife, and then it's the clusterfuck of finding out all of the fuckery and everyone's dead. Like, that whole rushing of the
Mhm.
end for me is not satisfying. Now, we already touched on it, so we're not going to spend too much time on it. That is kind of like a stage performance
Yeah.
ending, because you like that's just the way it is. That's how most of these things always tend to wrap and end. So I'm not going to look too much into it, but that is it's not a satisfying end, which is maybe the point.
There's like a whole
But-
scene after that too, like in the play that they obviously cut, like where it's
Yeah.
like the chorus, they all come together
Yes,
and then
yeah,
everybody stands
yeah.
up and all that shit. Obviously, it's not gonna work in the film, but like it is cut off. Like, all right, that's it. Bye.
Yeah, but I will say that final shot is incredible.
Because you see the repercussions of everything.
Not
Like,
even-
Mrs.
not-
Lovett's in the oven.
It's
Turban's over there.
no, it's not. It's I mean, just aesthetically. I mean, it's just as
Oh, it's a
as a
beautiful shot, yeah.
cinematographer. It's well, I'm not a cinematographer, but as a director, it is a shot that I could see myself using. Like, I could see myself turning around in a certain film, being like, "Oh, you know what shot I want to try doing," and it's gonna be like, because that from the moment like Toby comes around and slits Todd's throat to the head dropping and all the blood and it just covering Lucy's face and that pan out and he's just sitting there like, and it's a classic Tim Burton and it's a classic Tim Burton shot, but that's a shot to me that like stays with you. Like I rewatching it, I was like, yeah, I remember this shot. Like that's something, that shot stayed with me.
Didn't I
Yeah.
say that's a hell of a shot?
You might have.
Or was that a different movie? We've watched like 7 movies this week. I think at the end I
No, I
looked
think
at
it
that and I
was-
said that's a hell of a shot.
It's because it's beautiful.
Yeah.
It's, you know what it is? It's like one of those Gothic paintings you'd see
Yes.
in a fucking museum. You know what it reminds me of? Which I don't know if I've shown you this scene. I definitely have forced you to watch this scene from the show The Medici in not the last season, the second to last
I'm
season.
pretty sure I know what you're talking about.
I call it the Renaissance painting scene. It's a shot in a church, and there's all it's.
Was it the slow motion shot?
Yeah. It's
That
the
was a
high
beautiful
speed
scene.
camera shot.
Yeah.
So they use a high speed camera in that to get this shot, and the way it's done, the way it moves, it is one of my favorite shots I have ever seen. I probably might say it is my favorite shot. And this scene reminds me, like this shot reminds me of it, and the feelings that shot to me invoked is also kind of invoked in the scene, because it's a very traumatic scene in both situations, and it's just, I think that leaving a film like that or leaving a scene like that so haunting, that image could have been the fucking poster, like honestly,
Yeah.
like
Because you, like you said, you see everything. Everyone's there.
it's great. You have Beetle, Turban.
It is a typical like Broadway ending. Like, you know,
Yeah.
like everybody's on the stage and you see like what a mess the situation turned into.
Yeah.
You know, I just seeing the oven itself is creepy because I'm like, there's a person in there.
There's
you know?
multiple.
There's multiple people
There
in
was
there.
pies in there when
There was
she got
pies, and she got to be one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's a gorgeous shot. Are we still going with the
Did you have your own favorite scene?
epiphany? I think that's a fantastic
Yeah.
fucking moment. My least favorite would probably be by the sea. I love By the Sea, but that
I
scene
knew you
is
were gonna say that.
because I understand it's you're going into her imagination and you're going into her fantasy, but it's right at the height of the tension, and I'm like, all right, I like the song, but let's go. But like, it doesn't detract from the movie for me. It's just like if I had to pick the worst, not even the worst, the scene that I would do the least with, that's probably that one.
You know what scene actually I could do without, and I actually do like the song. It's a little creepy, but I do like the song. Is Joanna. I feel you, Joanna. It's a beautiful song, and he's amazing with it. His voice is incredible. And I think that's the only reason why it doesn't bother me is because Jimmy Kimmel Bauer sings it so beautifully. Like it's emotional when you hear him sing it. He does it so well, but it's just a scene that I just don't care about.
Do you like the first one or the reprise?
Either. You could get rid of both from the film for me. I like both the versions, but I mean, honestly, I just like him singing it.
Yeah.
I just like the melody of the song. It's not even the lyrics. I don't like the lyrics of the song. I like the sound of the song, the melody like of the song, and his voice on the song.
Mhm.
But the lyrics I'm not crazy about. Like I'll steal you, Joanna. Like I understand it's supposed to be romantic, and so I just don't like it. Because you know why? Because in the movie she's just a fucking prize. That's why I don't like it. In the play it doesn't bother me. And that's probably why like I'm having this hard distinction, because in the play I like the song a lot and it doesn't bother me because she is a person in it and she does hold up her own, and she ends up in a way saving Anthony when she turns around, takes the gun and shoots the warden. So in this, I think it bothers me because do you want a cookie too? Because you've been away on a journey for a long time. Like, you want any woman that looks pretty at this point. You've been on a fucking ship. Like, it's how I feel in the movie. So that's why I just feel like, yeah, get rid of that. Because, okay, cool. He could have seen any pretty girl on the street and been like, what's your name? Sally? I see you, Miss Sally. Like, you know what I mean? Like, okay, great, Joanna. The fucking Rapunzel in the goddamn tower with the golden blonde hair. Of course you're going to sing about that one. So that's my least favorite.
All right, Marissa Tomei Award for the best dressed.
Obviously Mrs. Lovett, no questions asked.
That's what I
That's
figured.
unanimous. Yeah, I agree.
Moving forward, Dion Waiters. Hard. It's a hard one for Dion Waiters.
Sasha?
I think it's Sasha.
I would say Sasha. She's phenomenal.
Yeah, I like Sasha Baron Cohen a lot.
And his range? Holy, he's got a crazy range.
Beatles more important.
No, his voice range.
No, I'm saying like character wise.
I think the
Beatles in it too much.
Beatles in it too much.
He's in it almost every scene with.
I think
the dogs.
Sasha's almost the only choice.
Yeah.
I mean, unless people who qualify, I think Joanna qualifies.
No.
Lucy.
I mean, she qualified.
I
but
think
no.
Anthony qualifies just on the cusp. Sasha Baron Cohen obviously qualifies.
I think Toby's in it too
Lucy
much.
qualifies.
Yeah, Lucy's in it less. I feel like than
I think I don't really think Anthony qualifies as much.
He's like on the cusp.
Him and Joanna
He's
are
like that Sam Jackson in Jurassic Park argument that we had. Like, he's just insignificant enough. He's really only in 4, 5, 6, 7 scenes maybe. In the beginning, on the boat, and then he comes back to ask if he can bring her. He's not in it. There's only like 2 songs.
He's in like
of
4
his, right?
scenes.
Yeah, he's
Yeah,
not
it's
in
not
it
much.
that much.
It's not much.
He just barely qualifies. I'm still going Sacha Baron Cohen.
I say Sasha.
The whole spectacle deal when they're doing the good old fashioned mid 1800s fucking selling you snakeskin, all the way to losing the shave off, all the way down to his interaction right before he dies. He's throwing fire. He's throwing 100 miles an hour for fucking 3 innings, and he's getting out of there.
Yeah. I think the great line too he has, it was really the Pope.
Yeah.
That's a great language. You say the Pope, it was really the Pope. Yeah, I think I would say him. We also didn't talk about how many Harry Potter alums we got.
Yeah, well, there's
Oh
at
my
least
God.
3.
We got Alan Rickman, who was Snape. We got Beetle, who was Wormtail. We have
Helena Bonham Carter.
Helen Bonham Carter, who was Bellatrix Lestrange. We have Jamie Campbell Bower, who was Grindelwald. And we have Johnny Depp, who was Grindelwald.
Yeah, I wasn't counting them.
Why? They're both Harry Potter people.
Well, yeah, but it's
Well,
separate.
no,
in the
but
universe.
Jamie Campbell Bower was
Correct.
Grindelwald in.
Correct.
He was in
Johnny
6.
Depp.
Yes.
Johnny Depp is a Fantastic Beasts character.
Yeah, but so.
I get what you're saying, but I didn't count it. I counted the 3 of them.
All right,
when I
we should
counted
say
Harry Potter
we should say
actors.
the world of Harry Potter.
Fair. I didn't even count Johnny Depp as a Harry Potter actor when I was thinking.
Well,
about it.
He's not anymore.
not.
No, he's not anymore. He certainly isn't.
As of right now.
So the Kristen Stewart Award, good segue. Kristen Stewart Award for bad acting. Now, bad is a stretch, but I am giving this award to Johnny Depp. Now, it's not necessarily against the other performances in the film so much as it's Johnny Depp against Johnny Depp. I think this is by far his least compelling performance that I've ever seen him in to date. If I had to rank them all, I think this is dead last far and away. I think his Grindelwald was better, since we were talking about that. I think, why not just, we said Alan Rickman was doing Snape. I think if he just did a modified Edward Scissorhands or worked some Edward Scissorhands into this role, it might have worked better for me.
I feel like Edward Scissorhands is such a passive character, though. You need more weight to a character like this, and I think he holds.
Or
back.
even a little bit more I don't know what it is. It's not doing it for me. To say it's the worst acting in the movie is a stretch. That's not what I'm saying. I just think, we hit this at the top. Johnny Depp is in the top 5 for me, actors of our time. And seeing this movie so far removed from its release, just probably realistically, if I saw this movie in 8th grade, I would have felt different about it. But then again, I'm not the same person I was in 8th grade. So maybe if I saw it in 8th grade, I would have still felt the same way because I wasn't into.
Yeah, I don't think you would have.
I wasn't into I've always been into this the theater, musicals on a DVD or in a no thank you. Live performances, I got it. A musical on a movie was never my thing as a kid. So I don't even know if seeing it younger would save me. But I would have seen that before I saw him get to do half of the shit that he's done since then. So I wouldn't be holding it up against his Mount Rushmore of acting.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, though, for worst acting, I would not even put him. I would either put Anthony or probably Joanna. Those are my 2. And Joanna, honestly, I understand why they did it, but can we darken her eyebrows a little bit? Please.
Oh my God.
It drives me fucking crazy.
She looks like she belongs in one of the elves in the Lord of the Rings.
She looks like she hasn't seen the light of day in 15 fucking years, which she probably hasn't.
Again,
That's
is
probably
the point.
I think it's Anthony.
I kind of
But the
think it's
Green
Anthony.
Finch scene is you feel at least you get some kind of character from that where Anthony is kind of one note throughout the whole film.
Yeah, I think it's Anthony, and it's not. And honestly,
He's great.
It's not
Yeah.
even him as an actor because I've seen him in a lot of things. He's a very fucking good actor. It's the role. It's the role because they condensed his role. That's why I think they falls on one.
This is the one award more than anyone else where it's not directly your responsibility all the time for receiving it.
Yeah.
Because they're we gave it to fucking Gal Gadot, right? Or maybe we didn't. No, we didn't give it to her. We gave it to Kristen Wiig. But we mentioned how
Well, she gave up.
how Gal Gadot's acting fell short, and
Yeah.
it looks like she gave up on screen midway through shooting, and that's largely not her fault.
Yeah.
It's largely the writing.
Yes.
So a lot of the time, it's not a knock on the person who gets this award. The situation, maybe the match wasn't good. They didn't utilize them. They didn't write the character as good as they could have.
Well, one question I gotta ask is: this is a musical. Favorite song?
What, my favorite song?
And from the musical, not from that's in the movie, not from the whole play. In the
My
movie.
favorite song that's in the movie.
Yes,
Epiphany.
that makes sense.
Toby and Sacha Baron Cohen, that whole deal.
Perry's Magical Elixir.
Sure, yeah.
Little
That
Priest.
What's yours?
Probably Little Priest.
Little Priest?
I love Little
Yeah, that's
Priest.
got to be a that's
I would.
tied.
I could get up and one man show Little Priest right now.
They shortened that song too.
Don't even talk to me. They shortened Greenfinch and Linnet Bird, and that pisses me the fuck off because I sang the whole version in Nisma. And let me tell you, there's like a whole nother verse. It's not even that they took out like
Feels
a
like
line.
they shortened most of these songs.
They did.
Well, I understand why they
did.
shortened a Little Priest though, because it's like you hit the same beats. Like,
Yeah, no,
Oh,
look-
how about this person? How about this person?
No, A Little Priest actually does not bother me as
Yeah.
much as other songs because it does work for the movie. It's perfectly paced in the movie. But Greenfinch and Linnet Bird, the lines they cut out, can I understand why they cut them out? Yes, but at the same time, I disagree with it because it doesn't add to the song, and it makes the My Cage's Many Rooms, Amazon Dark, and the part a little stronger because you had a whole nother moment of breathing. Instead, we have a verse and she's jumping right into the bridge of and it's like there's a whole nother moment for like the song to breathe and for you to really feel the plight of this girl who's known nothing but a room and her lark, so
It's very theater directing talk right now.
listen.
It gets a little technical on the show from time to time. One of our regular hosts is mostly a director,
Yeah.
and we got her over here. And we actually had an actress on a couple of
We
weeks ago.
did.
We got all
We
walks
did.
of all walks of the industry, and then me, just a schmuck who likes to talk on a microphone.
Yeah.
That's it. We're done, right?
I think so. I don't think we got anything else to say, right?
Oh, we got to rescore it. I'm
Oh.
sticking. I'll go 5-5. I'll give it 2 points. 5-5.
Didn't you come in at 5-5?
Came in at 5-3, I
Oh,
thought.
Yeah, you
5-4.
did say 5-3.
Listen, wherever I came in at, right now 5-5.
Okay. Are you still a 10?
On the basis of what you guys said, I will take it into consideration. I will downgrade my score to a 9-5.
Okay,
Okay.
I feel better about that because Sweeney Todd should not be the first fucking 10 we have on this podcast.
Vinny gave it a 10. We didn't give it a unanimous 10.
I know.
Yeah.
I'm
What
just
the hell
saying.
was
I
that?
It's
don't- I
overall
don't
score.
disagree.
He gives it a 10. I give it a 5. Right now, it's sitting at a 7. All right?
You're not really a high
The
average right
logic
now.
of math, something I'm not very
its
good
weighted
at.
score is nowhere near a 10 unless you bring it up.
No, well, I mean, I'm probably sitting at like a 7-3.
7-3.
Yeah.
Where did you come in at the beginning at?
Like a 7-3?
7-3.
It was around there, right?
Yeah, so-
Someone-
We
Yeah.
agree it's about a 7.
Yeah, I put this movie as a 7. Like
I give it a 5-5. He gives it a 9-5. You give it a 7-3.
Yeah.
That averages out to about a 7.
I
I'm
would-
not going to take out a calculator right now. But
No, I think that's fair. I mean, he might want to fight us later when we leave the studio, but
Well, maybe I'll watch it a few more times. Maybe we'll rehash it out a year or two from now when we're getting paid from Blue Chew. All right? But right now, this is how I feel. 5-5.
do you think your score would increase if I just one man showed it for you right now?
I don't think so.
You sure?
I think it might get worse. And that's nothing on your talent.
Would
That's
it
nothing
help
on your
if
talent.
next time I bring the replica blade that I have from the movie?
You know what, dude? No. It wouldn't. I'm gonna have to watch this the next time I watch it fucking alone with the light blocked out and my phone turned off, and I don't
would
want
like-
anybody to distract me.
I
for
would
2
like
hours.
to say I did not sing a single fucking song while we watched it
You
together.
didn't.
So
That's surprising.
Well,
She hears
she
the
was
song on
working
the radio
too,
and it's
though.
fucking
no,
over.
I could have sang every damn song, hit it, and I would try to hit every note. I would definitely not hit every note because I
What
just
were
can't.
we watching that you sang and I was like,
Hamilton.
I've never
Oh,
seen this
God.
before. Yeah, Hamilton. And I was like, hey,
We quote
listen.
one thing and it's like a 5-minute tangent.
Well, we watched it when it first went on Disney Plus,
Yeah.
right?
Yes.
And this is the first time I've ever seen it or heard any of the music. And we're like 2 songs in, and she's belting it at the top of one. And I reached over, I grabbed the remote control, I paused it, and I said, Emily, I've never seen this play before. I'd like to hear the actors. I'd like to hear why everyone thinks Lin-Manuel Miranda's so great.
Did you end up liking it?
Yeah, Hamilton. I thought
Okay.
was
I was
amazing.
gonna say,
I would
it's
just
fucking
like
fantastic.
to preference that I am a trained singer, but I just don't sing anymore. So I do actually
No,
have a
she's
voice.
not a bad singer. It's just that I didn't sign up to hear Emily's take on
performs.
Hamilton.
That's it.
I didn't click play on Emily's one-man show version
That-
of Hamilton.
yeah,
I clicked
that-
play on the original Hamilton run. That was all it was.
that is
the
probably-
next time we watch it, you can sing every song because I've seen it already.
Oh, I'm going to.
Good.
That's not even a question. My problem is that I am an entertainer, and what I do is
I don't
I
sing a
entertain.
I
poem.
entertain the people.
I entertain. Are you not entertained? And I guess on that note,
That was Sweeney Todd. See you guys in 2 weeks. Hey guys, thanks for listening to the show, whatever movie it was about. This is a generic pre-recorded outro, but we hope you had fun. We sure do. Thanks for listening. See you next week.
And the only prescription is more cowbell. We will not go quietly into the night.
Stay gold, pony boy.
I will not die sober. Get those fucking loose.
That's all, folks.